Thanks for joining us. We've got people from all over the region, from Hong Kong, from Singapore, from the UK, even South Africa. Today we're going to be talking Portugal Golden Visa. Some of you may have heard some of this content, but there's going to be some quite interesting new development launch from Tyrone in a minute. So the structure of this webinar is going to be 3 points. First of all, I'm going to explain a little bit about who we are as Holborn. And then secondly, Tyrone is going to be talking about the Portugal visa, how it works, the benefits, and what you can expect as your outcome after 5 years. A little bit of background on me. I'm a financial planner background in Hong Kong for the last 15 years. Tyrone, he's American and I think currently in the US, normally based in Vietnam. Tyrone has about 15 years experience as an immigration consultant for both Europe, US and Canada. So we'll start off just by a little bit of background on us, the 60-second overview. So Holborn are a financial services company originally. Been doing this now for 24 years, and we've got offices across Europe, Middle East, and Asia. And obviously, for the important part of this webinar, we've got an office in Portugal. I'm talking to you from our Hong Kong office. The distinction with us versus immigration agents, we are very much relationship based. So we take clients through the whole process of onboarding, obtaining documents, issuing them to embassy, and ultimately facilitating the investment. And we want to make sure it stacks up from a purchase price point of view, a income point of view, and an exit point of view. So we apply a very high level of due diligence compared with, say, immigration agents who tend to be a little bit more transaction based. And as I say, because it's financial planning, is my background, we want to take you on the whole journey, not just getting you into Portugal, into the EU, but we can help once you're there with other aspects of financial planning. So as I said, background on myself, Tyrone as well. We've been working closely together now for some time. And I think, these CVs or resumes kind of do speak for themselves. Introducing Tyrone.
Tyrone. All right. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks very much, Chris, for that nice introduction. Thanks for organizing this webinar today. I think it's a great opportunity to talk not only about Holborn as a company, but also the sorts of products that we offer, and also some very exciting developments in Portugal, which I think is one of probably the top immigration program in the world right now. So let me just bring up my slides here, and let me explain to you why I think it's one of the best opportunities in the world. So, as Chris mentioned, we are a full service financial advisory firm. I joined Alvor about 2 years ago to help develop the investment migration department. My background is, I've been doing this for about 15 years, focused a lot on the US, helped, getting up near 2,000 families now through the immigration process, a lot of them to the US. But about 5 years ago, I started really kind of looking around the world saying, I want to offer more than just the US and Canada to potential clients. And so I looked at Europe, and I really spent about 2 years really trying to find not only the right program that I thought had the right immigration benefits, but also the right partners in those countries. So I just kept coming back to Portugal because Portugal, I think, offers more immigration benefits, the financial security you're looking for in an investment, but also the flexibility in an immigration program that gives you that certain security that you and your family are going to get your desired results and meet your family's goals. So, although we do offer a full range of programs, and they're all really good, but I think what Portugal offers when you look across the board is at a reasonable price point of 280,000. It's the only European program that really has a direct pathway to citizenship. I should add one caveat that Malta does have a direct to passport program, direct to citizenship program, but it comes in at around €1,000,000. So it's quite expensive. It's a very big ticket item. Whereas Portugal, you can get the same results in nearly the same amount of time for, right around €300,000. And it's a real estate investment, whereas Malta is €1,000,000 donation to the government. So if you're interested in any other countries or resettling or relocating in Greece or Spain, the UK, or of course the US, we're happy to speak with you about that. But I think after we go through this presentation today, you'll see that Portugal really is a unique opportunity. And with all government programs, these they sometimes can come to an end. So Portugal was just renewed in January 1st. So we're very confident that this program will go on for the next several years in its current structure. But we only know what we have today. So I encourage everyone who's considering this not to take too much time. Be careful and do your due diligence consideration, but it's important to move along with these into these programs. So let me just discuss a little bit about Portugal and why I think Portugal is a wonderful opportunity. First of all, Portugal's a nice place. It's one of the safest countries in the world. It's usually considered one of the best places to retire. It's got a reasonably low cost of living, actually a very low cost of living for Western Europe. I think it is the lowest. And also one of the highest quality of life. It's got clean air, nice beaches. The people are friendly and welcoming. And, it's just a wonderful place to relocate your family. However, with so many of the people I speak with, and myself included, I'm currently a Golden Visa applicant in this process. What I appreciate the most is I appreciate Portugal as a country, but I also appreciate the flexibility that it gives us to immigrate there. So, in order to maintain the Golden Visa, which is really what we is really kind of a long-term residency permit, you only need to spend 1 week a year there, 7 days per year over the course of 5 years to maintain your Golden Visa. And then after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. So that's really a pretty amazing and flexible program for those of you who are currently living in Hong Kong or in Singapore, and you have jobs or you have businesses, and you're just not able to relocate your entire family to Portugal or to Europe. This offers a really good option that you only need to spend a week a year in the country. Whereas if you compare it to Spain or Greece, you have to spend at least 6 months a year there for a period of 7 to 10 years. So those countries really demand a lot from you. Whereas Portugal just it's just a week a year. It's kind of a nice family holiday. You can look at it that way. Along with just the flexibility of the program, you're allowed to bring your children and even your parents. So Portugal respects family. So they do allow you to bring your entire family, including your parents, which is quite unique. That really differentiates it from, say, the U.S. or Canadian programs where you can only bring your younger children with you. And then once you get your Golden Visa, you get basically almost all the benefits as a Portuguese citizen. You have access to the education system, which is it's top quality, but also very affordable, just a couple €1,000 per year. And even the private international schools, if you're thinking about sending, if you have children, still in elementary or high school, the top level international English language schools in Portugal, the prices tend to be around 8,000 to 10,000 euros per year for tuition. And if you're in Hong Kong or Singapore, I know that's a lot cheaper than what you're paying for your children's tuition now. Probably about 60-70% less than what you're currently paying. So, and then along with that, as an American, this is something that I value quite a lot, is you have access to their healthcare system. It's one of the very top healthcare systems in the world, and you have access to it at basically no charge. So I'm an American. The healthcare system in America is quite expensive. Even if you have insurance, it's very expensive. So I look at it as a little bit of, this is an investment in my my health too. So, and all in all, it's a very fast and easy process. We'll talk a bit more about it later, and we can do a one-on-one about your particular case. But for the most part, if you started today, you should have a golden visa in less than a year. So it is a very fast and straightforward process. And there's not a lot of requirements. You basically are only required to buy a qualifying property and have a clean criminal record, and that qualifies you. So most everyone can qualify if you're able to make the property purchase. Portugal is also, I think, an exciting place to immigrate to, or to consider immigration, because it's really welcoming immigrants. Has had population decline for the past couple decades. So there's an initiative in Portugal to increase the population. You can see on the map over here, here's a map of a lot of the major cities and kind of mid-sized cities of Portugal. And it shows how they're trying to increase the population of each particular city. So this is a government mandate for each location. If you can imagine the mayors of these cities, having to look at how, figure out a way to grow their population. And, that you can only grow your population so much through birth rate. So one of the other ways is through immigration. And that's why the Golden Visa program, which was just renewed on January 1st, is a popular program. And it's, so on a political level, it's quite popular, and it's even considered a necessity to bring people into the country to grow its population. And with that, Portugal has the second highest rate of naturalization, or by naturalization, we mean people becoming new citizens. So new citizens of Portugal, of any country in Europe outside of Sweden. So again, the government's, I guess, what do we say, putting their money where their mouth is. They're making a real commitment to getting citizens, to welcoming new citizens to their country. Because oftentimes people ask, if I only spend a year in Portugal, will I really get a passport after 5 years? And the question is, you're more likely to in Portugal than basically any other country in Europe. And the program is set up for this very reason, set up that way. So I think you can have a lot of confidence that as an immigration program, it's working. You can have confidence that you're going to get your golden visa, and after 5 years, you and your family will be able to apply for citizenship. Okay. The products that we offer typically are real estate investment products. So we talked a little bit about the security and the reasons that we're confident that you will get your citizenship if that's what you choose to do. But also, as a financial investment, it's also a very good place to invest. Portugal has the strongest real estate market in Europe right now. It's over the last 10 years, really after the financial crisis, the property has been growing about 5% a year. Pretty reasonable. Last year had an absolute bonanza year. The property market grew at 13.8%, which was the very highest in Europe. That might be a little bit hot, but I think it just shows the general trend in Portugal that this is a good place to make an investment. The property prices are certainly going in the right direction. Clients that we've had over the past, at least for me directly, last 5 years, and our property partners in Portugal over the last 10 years, all of the clients have seen gains in their property prices. So everyone has made money with their property investments. Okay, we at Holborn as an immigration company, we do focus a lot on Portugal. I also focus on the US, but I think we've just really identified the right partners in Portugal and really figured out the best way to structure the real estate investment and also get the results for the clients. But here's just some of the properties that we sold last year. We helped more than 150 families through the process last year, making us, I think, maybe the single largest agent for Portugal. producer. About 10% of all the global applications around the world, so 10% of the global market was Holborn. So I say this not to to be bragging what a great company or how big we are, but we have a team that can process that, and I think that's what's really important. We have a well-oiled machine. I guess I shouldn't say machine, because they're actually very nice human beings who work very hard to get you and your family through the process smoothly. We have great partnerships with the banks, with accountants, with the lawyers, and with the property developers to make sure the transaction goes very smoothly. And I don't think there's another company in the world that can do it like we do it. So these are just some of the properties. We focus and specialize in commercial real estate and tourist properties. So these are all hotels located. I think all these are within just a few minutes of the seaside. Of course, Portugal is famous for its seaside resorts, and these are just a few that we did last year. So the current property, and most of our properties are in the Algarve, which is the southernmost tip of Portugal. And it's consistently ranked as one of the top tourist destinations in Europe, in the world. It's famous for golf, Michelin star restaurants, just general quality of life. The weather tends to be just perfect. The kind of nice, 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit with a nice breeze and blue sky. So I just want to jump right into what our current project is, because we've been waiting for this for some time to launch this project. It took us a bit of time to really get it organized and make sure everything was in place for secure investment at the right price for the investors. So the new apartment project is called the Pelican Apartments. It's located in the Algarve. These are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments located just minutes from the seaside. They are long stay, apartment hotels, typically for families that would go on vacation for 1 or 2 weeks at a time. I guess more and more we might call these Airbnb hotels. This is actually the property itself. So this is the existing property. Here. And it's the exact location is in a city called Portimao, which is, oops, there we go again. Here again, I just want to mention that this is the existing property. So the location itself is pretty exciting. It's just a few minutes drive from Portimao and Lagos, which are the major cities in the Algarve. It's just right next to this, to the coast. It's 2 kilometers from 3 major golf courses. So if that's important when you're investing into a tourist property, to know what is around. Probably its most famous tourist destination nearby is that it's home to the Algarve Grand Prix racing track. Okay, the apartments are right next to the track, so don't worry about that. You won't get the noise. But that's a major destination and attraction throughout the year that brings people to this area. So it's quite famous for that, especially if you're interested in the Grand Prix, you'll definitely know this location. So when we choose our properties, we try to do a couple of things. First of all, we want to reduce the risk that you have as an investment. That's why we only choose properties that are existing. So we don't do off-plan properties where where you might have to wait 1 or 2 years for the project to be complete. This particular project is up and running. It's occupied. You can go to booking.com, for example, and see that it gets an 8.3 out of 10 rating. So what's important about this is not only that you're investing to an existing asset, but since you are getting a rental return, and this is an investment based on it's a business investment, you want to know that it's producing right now, that it's in business, it is open, and it's generating returns, which is important for you not only to get your investment return, but then to eventually sell the property after 6 years or have the developer buy it back from you. So the property itself there are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. They start at the price of 400,000 euros. I'm going to discuss how we can kind of get the cash outlay down a bit below that. It has a restaurant, a bar, a swimming pool, parking. It was a newly built property in 2006, but completely refurbished and decorated in 2021. So essentially, it's like a brand new apartment. And these apartments, when you buy them, come fully furnished, with very nice furniture, flat screen TVs. So it's a turnkey investment, and they'll be completely managed and maintained by the developer for you. So at no fees. So the return you get is actually your full net return. There'll be no annual fees or surprises. And most importantly, again, when we talk about reducing risk, is that you're going to own an actual unit in this building. Let me just go back here. So you're going to own an apartment. You don't own a share in this building. It's not like a hotel project where you might own 0.5% of the entire hotel project or the building. You actually own, for example, unit 209. You'll have a title deed for that. It's in your name. At any point, you could sell that property because it is yours. You can own it forever. You pass it on through generations, and which I think is important, because you are excuse me, you are investing in something that exists, that has value, and it is in your name. So we're trying to decrease the financial risk of the investment. So as part of, because we are very excited about this project, and something we want to do to incentivize our clients to invest is that although the properties are 400,000 euros, which is the requirement, the qualifying requirements for this location, because this is a really top tourist destination area. It's already built new property. So according to Portuguese law, you have to invest at least 400,000. However, what the developer has agreed to do is, on the one-bedroom apartments, they will pay a 4% return, annual return, for a period of 6 years. And that's a guaranteed return. In fact, and the developer is so confident that this will be a profitable project, they're willing to pay that return to you upfront. So that is to say, basically, they're going to pay 24% of the value of the property to you immediately. So 24%, or we can just figure it this way: 4% of 400,000 would be 16,000 per year. That would bring you up to after tax. There's a rental income tax that would reduce your total cost for the apartment to 328,000. Now, something we were just able to secure today is that the management company has agreed to pay that return to you at the same time you're purchasing the property. So, for example, if you're have a 400,000, you're buying the 400,000 euro property, you will only have to pay 328,000 into your bank account, and the management company at the same time will pay the 72,000 into your bank account as your upfront return. So together, that equals 400,000, and at that point, then you can purchase the property at the full price and make a qualifying investment. So this is quite nice because a few things. You're getting your return up front. So you think about it this way, that you're getting, you're already making 24% on your money in a matter of, just a week. That's hard to do anywhere. And it also brings the actual cost and cash out of pocket that you need to purchase this property to 328,000. So that's really, that's just a great deal to have a property this nice, this new, in this location, to be able to do that. And to own the property. Trust me, I really do. We look at across the market in Portugal, and there's no other property like this available that qualifies for a golden visa. So this is quite a unique opportunity. And then as well as that, the developer guarantees to buy the property back from you in 6 years at the full 400,000. So, you're guaranteed to get your money back, even though you've only paid 328,000 for it. And you have the option, or you have the option just to keep your property and either keep it as a rental income property or sell it on the open market. As we discussed, the property market in Portugal is quite strong. And I would guess after 6 years, the value of this property should go up considerably, given the last 5 to 7 years in Portugal. And along with that, one of the benefits that comes with it is that you get 4 weeks per year to stay in this apartment. If you're not able to make it there or stay the entire 4 weeks, your friends or family can also enjoy the apartment. So that gives you some benefit when you are required to go to Portugal and spend 7 days there to meet your obligation for the Golden Visa. You can spend it there at no cost to you or your family. All right, so and here's the property here, and here's actual photos of the inside of the apartment. So you can see they're very nice, well decorated, nicely furnished, and the pool. And again, just a few minutes. We currently have about 20 units available. If you can believe this, we just released the property today, and you can see a lot have already sold out. So I would expect that we will have these properties, we'll have the remaining 20 properties for about, I think probably 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're interested, I mean, let's sit down and you ask questions and do some due diligence. But really, it's a move that we have to make, because I think that this is a very unique opportunity in Portugal, in the Algarve, to get into a 400,000 euro property at only 328,000 euros. So we have the properties on the top 2 floors are still available. Most of the properties are facing the pool. As you see here. So that's a basic introduction to the Portuguese program, to the qualifications for the investment, and then also to this new property that we have. Just to kind of recap, we get into we try to keep the investment to the lowest price point, because if you invest 328,000, that's the same as, get you the same Golden Visa as a 500,000 or €1 million investment. It's an existing property that will be in your name, that you'll have a title deed for, so that, you own something, so that you can actually, you knock on the door of your apartment and say, that's mine. And you have a title deed for it. Also, we do have third-party appraisals, because a lot of times people say, how do I know this property is really worth 400,000 euros? Well, we do have a third-party real estate company in Portugal evaluate the property and come back and say it is valued at 400,000, so you can be confident that you're getting what you paid for. We have the buyback guarantee, which is always acts as a kind of an insurance policy that even if the property market fluctuates, you can always get the full price back, or you can choose to sell it on the open market and realize any capital, any gains on the property value. It's a turnkey solution, so you're not going to have to worry about renting out the property or maintaining the property. No one's going to call you in the middle of the night and say, the toilet's broken, send €1,000. The management company is quite good, and this property is already being managed very well. You can go to bookings.com and see that it gets an 8.3 rating, which is pretty solid. And I think you get the value of working with Holborn. It's a large institution, international institution with a presence around the world, with a great team, like Chris in Hong Kong, and I'm in Vietnam. We have a presence in Dubai and in South Africa and around the world. And we process more clients than almost any other company in the world, but we still do it in a very personalized way. We get to know our clients very well, and we take time, and we have a great team that is very responsive. So I think that's one of the great benefits here. And, our partners, and we have done around actually after this past year, closer to 600 successful cases. So, I think you're in good hands with us. And just to recap the benefits of the Portuguese Golden Visa program, you get free education and healthcare. You can bring your parents and your children. It's a fast processing time. Really, when you compare it to the US or Canada, you can get your Golden Visa in less than a year. Other programs around the world can take 2 to 3 years. One thing I forgot to mention is that with the Golden Visa in Portugal, it's the only Golden Visa program in Europe where you can work, which I think is important. You have the right to work, whereas in Spain or Greece or Malta, you're not allowed to work. So I think that's also very interesting. A lot of people might say, "Oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to move to Portugal and work." And I say, "Well, not today, but you never know in 2 or 3 years what might happen, or your children, if they're kind of coming of age, they might want the opportunity to be able to work in Portugal." And more than any other Golden Visa program in Europe, it offers a clear pathway to citizenship, and a government that is backing that up is naturalizing more people than any other country in Europe, and certainly more than any other Golden Visa program. And it's very flexible. It's just a week a year, so you continue on with your life in Hong Kong or in Singapore. With the idea of relocating to Portugal on the horizon. Maybe in a couple of years after you can make a transition from your current job, or your kids finish school, or whatever reasons that you might have to stay in Hong Kong or Singapore. So it's that flexibility of the immigration program that I think is the key benefit of Portugal, as well as the security of the property investments. You're investing to a great market, and we have a great team here at Holborn. And with that, I'm gonna let you ask a few questions, and I know Chris might want to add a few more things. So thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, Tyrone. Yes, and please do ask your questions in the Q&A box. We'll answer them live. So we've got a couple of questions already in there. But yeah, I think the key takeaways from your points, Tyrone, Holborn provide a one-stop solution. So taking an example of a family that we spoke to in January this year, they made an inquiry with us. In that case, it was mum and dad, 2 kids, and the grandparents, so the whole family. Around about the second week of January, we identified a property for them that suited them. It was an income-generating property, very similar, albeit a slightly different structured, different area. And then it was around about the first week of February, the client then transacted on that property. And the key that unlocks the jigsaw puzzle of the next stage is the title deed for that property. Once the client has paid for the property and the investment is in their name, that title deed gets issued, and that key that unlocks the next part is the Golden Visa application process. So in that family's case, the Golden Visa application was put through beginning of March. We anticipate by the end of the year, this December, that Hong Kong-based family will be going to Portugal. They'll be getting their ID document or their ID card. They'll have a biometric ID card. They'll be fingerprinted. And then that's the start of their 5-year ticking clock for the Golden Visa. So really just showing you, what we do for clients in terms of service. Obviously opening bank accounts, getting a tax identifier number, arranging a lawyer, and getting documents notarized. We appreciate every client has a focus on their day job. They don't necessarily want to be running around doing all the admin. So this is what we provide. So let's come to some questions. Keep sending those through. So we have Dave asking a question. Does your partner qualify if you're not married?
You want to take that? Yes. I will say this though. You do have to prove a legitimate relationship. So it is much easier if you are married, but if you're not married, then you're going to have to show that that you have been in a legitimate relationship for a period of time, and maybe share some assets, share some bank accounts, either been renting a place together, you purchased a house together. So it takes a bit of qualifying, but it is possible. And I'm not saying this pertains to your situation, but this question often comes up for gay couples, because a lot of countries they're from, they're not married, or marriage is not allowed. So it is very much possible, and to do. It will take a bit more work to qualify, but it can be done.
Great, thanks. This is a really good question. So, here in Asia, we know the story of Evergrande Real Estate, Chinese real estate developer that went bust. And, from time to time, these things do happen. So the question here, Tyrone, is what happens if the development company goes bust or refuses to buy back the apartment after 6 years?
Right. So, and this is why, first of all, we only choose properties that exist. So, you immediately know that you're buying something that has value today. In 6 years, if the development company decided not to buy back the property or did go bust, you still own that property. You still have a title deed to it. And I think, just given what we showed you, that property is always going to maintain a certain value. Being in the location it's at, being in a fairly new building. So let's talk worst case scenarios. You would own a property on the beach in Portugal, and you could sell that property at market value, which today we know it's worth 400,000. In 6 years, I think it will go up. There are some structural penalties if the developer does not buy back the property. For example, if they don't buy it back on time, there is a 20% penalty that the developer must pay. And Portugal has a good legal system. It's they can enforce this, but the developer is quite substantial. They are a real estate management group. They have real estate funds valued right now at $350 million across Portugal. So this is just one of their properties, and they've been doing this they've been in the Golden Visa business since the beginning for 10 years. And they have gone through the cycle where they've been purchasing back the properties, and they very much like to purchase back the properties at the price they paid for it 6 years ago, because that's their business model. So they have an incentive to buy the properties back and to keep it in their fund and to manage these properties and to benefit from the rental of the properties.
Yeah, and I think one thing to add here, you can see on Booking.com. This Pelican Apartments project is a very good income generating property. There will always be a buyer for anything that generates income. Putting my financial planning hat on, retirees, pension funds, companies, these type of assets are in demand. And I think given as well, Portugal property rose by about 11% last year, demonstrates, not only it's a yield play, i.e. income, you also likely to benefit from decent appreciation. So if the developer isn't there to buy it back, you own that asset direct, and that does vary. Well, that does differ from a fund or money pooled with other investors. You're de-risking yourself there. So next question here, what are the initial steps to apply for this visa? What have been the challenges or rejections?
Okay, I always like to say Holborn has a 100% approval rate with its golden visas, and that's absolutely true. But I also like to qualify that by saying the Portuguese government has a 97% approval rate, so we are above the national approval rate. And the reason the approval rates are so high is because it is a very straightforward process. It just requires a couple things. It requires that you make a qualifying purchase or investment. And we have legal opinions on our properties that show that they do qualify for the Golden Visa. And you have to have a clean criminal record. So you have to be able to get what we call a police clearance certificate from your current country of residence, or really any country that you've lived in over the past 10 years. And that's really about it. You just have to show that you have a clean criminal record and that you can make the property purchase. And that's really all it takes to get approved. Just as far as the process goes, if you said, okay, Chris, today I'm ready to get started, let's go. What we have you do is, sign an agreement with Holborn. You'll pay some legal fees, which for a family of four is roughly around 15,000 euros. And you make a property deposit, which on this property would be is 5%, so it'd be roughly 20,000 euros. So that would be enough to reserve your property and to get the legal team working on your case. It takes about 3 months typically to put together a case. We'll have to get first of all, just your passport information. If you have children, their birth certificates, marriage licenses, and also that we will help you open a bank account. Because I should say there's one more requirement, and that is that when you purchase the property, the money must come from a personal account outside of Portugal. So say if you're in Hong Kong, it must come from your personal bank account in Hong Kong, and it must go into your new personal account, bank account in Portugal. So we'll help you open up that bank account in Portugal. We can do all this remotely, but that's one of the requirements, is that the money must actually come from your personal bank account outside of Portugal.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think to reiterate, we have had 100% success rate with all Holborn clients that have been through the Golden Visa application program procedure. So clearly the team is doing something well in the back office and getting everything done in a timely manner. Question here from an anonymous attendee: what happens if something breaks down in the apartment? Who pays for the repairs? So maybe if I answer that one. So quite simply, not you. That is the developer's responsibility. We appreciate our clients are time poor, and the last thing you want to be dealing with is emails or phone calls fixing costs. So the yield, the income the property produces is net of all the maintenance charges, any refurbishments that are needed within the fixed 6-year period. So there's no additional costs or no hidden charges there. We have a question here as well from Manjima. Do you deal in high skill visa or other than Golden Visa for Portugal or any other country? So I think the question is application via qualifications rather than investment there.
We do not as a company. Our legal partners and lawyers in Portugal could probably assist with that, and we could put you in direct contact with them. But we don't do that as a company. We find it doesn't offer quite the flexibility that a lot of our clients are looking for, but it is an option. And so we could connect you with our legal partners who do help with that.
Great. And a question for myself here, Tyrone, again, putting my financial planner's hat on. Here in Asia, we're used to paying very low tax, both Hong Kong, Singapore, and ultimately Europe. You get a huge amount of benefits. You get free healthcare, you get free education. The retirement fund in Portugal, I believe, is #1 in the world. But obviously that comes at a price in terms of tax. So if I were to move to Portugal, how would it work from a tax point of view? Would Portugal have a take on my tax overseas? How could you explain the tax angle here?
Right. So that's actually, I think, one of the best benefits of Portugal. So you do get for the first 10 years, you don't pay any income tax on income generated outside of Portugal. So if you're working in Hong Kong or Singapore, you're not going to be required to report or pay tax on that income. Now, of course, any income that, if you move to Portugal and you get a job, any income you generate in Portugal would be subject to income tax, which can be anywhere from 15 to 40%. So it can be quite high. But your income outside of Portugal is not going to be taxed. So that is, I think, a real benefit particularly for people who this program is appealing for. It gives you that flexibility of not having to pay tax immediately, but still getting to enjoy the benefits, the social benefits of Portugal, the healthcare and education and retirement benefits.
Yeah, fantastic. So I think the key point there is tax efficiency is fantastic. Portugal only get an income or tax income generated inside Portugal. So we have another question from Anjima here. Does any Bank of Portugal offer loan for the purchase of property on the basis of employment in other country where you're presently based? So I think I'll answer that. Unfortunately, no. Yeah, it's very difficult to get a loan from a Portuguese bank. But the important thing here we have to adhere to are the government rules to buy property that qualifies for the Golden Visa. So not only does it have to be at the correct price band, it has to be a cash purchase, because ultimately the whole Golden Visa legislation is about bringing new money into Portugal, and yeah, that's overseas money in return for the Golden Visa that leads to passport. So yeah, you can see how it makes sense. So I think we're kind of almost coming to the end of the questions here. I think maybe just putting my own personal perspective on this, having now gone through, I think, 6 properties in the last year with Holborn, we've seen demand increase each development that we've launched. And I think the interesting thing that we're seeing here in Hong Kong at the moment is extremely high demand for people to get out of Hong Kong for obvious reasons of COVID lockdowns and government issues. So the last property that we brought to market was the Aurasol Apartments, which was brought to market January the 1st. We anticipated it would be available to around about March, April. It was a small 60-unit apartment block in Albufeira. We were blown away by clients' demand and the transactions that we made. So we actually sold out, believe it was kind of mid-February, end of February. So it put us in a difficult position because we were, for a period of time, had no availability, no inventory. So as such, we do have a wait list for the project that Tyrone has just gone through. And I hate putting pressure on clients. I hate putting an emphasis on deadlines. But I think the key is, you know, as Tyrone says, this is a extremely attractive investment from an income point of view, from a pricing point of view, and as well, yeah, there's an opportunity really to kind of get in now, you know, before this unit, this development goes. So we've just got one final question here from Kay. While waiting for the Golden Visa for 6 years, can we stay in Portugal or other EU country? Can my child go to high school, university without a student visa? I think there's a distinction in your questions there, Kay. So can your child go to high school in Portugal or university without a student visa? Tyrone?
Yeah, let me just clarify one thing. So you'll actually receive your Golden Visa in about 1 year. So that's your residency permit. After 6 years, you can receive citizenship. But your Golden Visa gives you the right to live permanently in Portugal. So your child would be able to attend Portuguese high school, for example. The government and public schools are free. So absolutely, over the next 6 years, you could do that, and you have the right to the health care, and you'd have the right to work there as well. Now, with the Golden Visa, you're not allowed to live permanently in any other European country. You can spend up to 180 days in another European country. So, take for example Spain. You could spend 90 days in Spain, then you'd have to exit. Then you could spend another 90 days in Spain. But you cannot live there permanently, or your child would not be able to go there without a student visa. But you can in Portugal. Now, after 6 years, once you get citizenship, you're an EU citizen. So in any of the EU countries, Spain, Italy, France, Germany, you have the right to work in those countries, to live permanently in those countries. Your children could go to school in those countries. So, at local tuition rates or, local rates. So initially for the first 6 years, you have the right to live and reside and take advantage of all the benefits in Portugal. After 6 years, once you're a citizen, you have the EU at your fingertips.
Fantastic. That's good. So in terms of age, the maximum age of children on application, I believe that's 21. Is that right, Tyrone?
It varies a little bit. Portugal's quite interesting how they define this. It's actually, the official law says 18. However, as long as the child is dependent on the parents, they can go in on a golden visa. So dependency is usually defined by if the child is enrolled in education, going to school. So if your child's at university or is financially dependent on you. So, even for those children who are a little bit older, say, 24, 25, that it is possible for them still to join on the visa, but we're going to have to establish some dependency links, either through education or through financial dependency. So it's something to keep in mind. Typically, the rule of thumb is about age 26, but to join the golden visa. But to be able to go through the entire process to citizenship, it's better if they're a bit younger, like as you said, Chris, maybe around 21. But we could discuss your case individually because there is no hard and fast law to it. There's no written law about it.
Fantastic, thanks. So I think the key takeaway here is every client's circumstances are different. Whether it's children, whether it's parents, whether it's timescales of getting into Portugal. So we certainly can provide a one-to-one consultation discussion based on your circumstances. A common question I get asked by clients is, all of this sounds fantastic. We like the speed at which you can get a golden visa. We like the price bracket. Will this be around next year? Will it be around in the future? We've seen recently the UK change their visa policy for immigration. We saw Cyprus change it a few years ago. Can you just give us an indication, Tyrone, of how long this legislation will be around and what the opportunity is now?
As I always say this, you can never outguess a government, and governments can make changes anytime they want, and there's not much you can do about it. That being said, again, Portugal wants immigrants, right? It's structurally and politically they want them. That's why they're naturalizing more citizens than anywhere but Sweden in Europe. So they just renewed the program in 2022 and on January 1st, and they didn't really make any changes to the program itself. They changed the sorts of locations where you can make investments. They want to, diversify the investment opportunities and kind of spread the investments across Portugal a bit more fairly. But they didn't change the program. I mean, it's still the same program where, after 5 years, you can get citizenship with only spending a week a year there. So I don't see anything on the horizon. There isn't a political movement in Portugal that's against the Golden Visa program. So I think it's a secure program to go into. Much more secure than most of the programs you see in Europe right now. But that being said, look, we can never guarantee anything with governments. But the Portuguese government has just kind of doubled down on it just this year. And I think they made the changes they made to the policies with the investment locations are very fair, and they're very reasonable. I think it satisfied maybe some of the local demands. There was concern that maybe the Golden Visa property buyers are driving up prices in Lisbon and Porto, the big cities. So they gave incentives to invest outside of the major cities, and that's what we offer, is investments outside the two major cities and in tourist properties. So I don't see the program changing immediately. That being said, my experience has been that once you have an immigration benefit in any country, not just Portugal, but the US, even in Cyprus or the UK, once you have these immigration benefits, governments don't take them away. They might not let you, you might not be able to join up anymore, but they don't take away what you already have. So we know what we have today. We know it's possible today. And so, if you can get signed in and get your Golden Visa now, you're going to be able to keep it. I just don't know any cases of any countries in the world that start taking away visas after people have them.
Yeah, and I think that's the message. Existing applicants who went in on last year's rules, they're grandfathered in, i.e., the clients that were able to buy in Lisbon, were able to buy in Porto. Nothing would change retrospectively, and that's quite important. Right. So hopefully some really good points to consider, and hopefully there's some new information there. As I say, we're always available to connect on a one-to-one basis, and we'll do another webinar in the next month or so with more new material. But Tyrone, thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, Chris, and look forward to speaking to you all on an individual basis as well.
Thank you. Bye for now.
All right. Okay, bye-bye.